When I still lived in the city, I always felt like a ghost. Invisible, grey and see-through, a stranger stranded in a false reality. It wasn't only the constant overwhelm of busy streets and grey concrete buildings that made me, as a back then undiagnosed autistic girl, collapse in my room whenever I got home. I was also missing a piece of myself, a seed deep inside, of which I didn't fully know what it was or what it needed to grow. I missed something, a deep connection to my environment and to myself. My self-expression didn't line up with who I was or what I felt on the inside, and what I felt on the inside, I barely, if ever, saw reflected in my surroundings. It was hard to pinpoint what it was, but I longed for a different life, for beautiful, stimulating experiences and sensory input that would nourish instead of drain me. In the first few years of my life, I didn't want to leave the house. I wasn't able to tell why, other than I just didn't want to. These days, I recognized that I had extreme sensory issues caused by an overstimulating environment, which turned every step out of the house into an act of endurance. Who would have thought that it was in nature where I first found an answer to the burning question, who am I? So, this is how the forest transformed my soul. I think going outside got easier after I had discovered the magic of headphones and music, and walking the dog a few times a week forced me to confront the natural world a bit more. And here it was, when I put down the music and the headphones, where I first started to notice the energy in the trees and the forests, and how everything is ensouled and alive. I realized slowly that going to natural places wouldn't just demand energy from me, like a trip to town would. On the contrary, the trees and the flowers would give it back to me 10 times over, and I felt that both physically and emotionally. Since I felt like a total stranger in my daily life, going to a forest, even if it was merely a teeny tiny city forest, felt like going to a vast place where I belonged, where my behavior wasn't judged, where I could just be me. Sensitive as I was, I somehow figured out that aligning myself with the natural world and its little helpers didn't only strengthen me physically and mentally, but also started to bring forth colors in me I had only guessed were there years before. It was like going to nature as a grey ghost and returning with more color each time I returned, suddenly energetically nourished, feeling myself bloom, becoming alive with each year, getting to know myself for real. How did I feel? What made my heart jump with joy? At some point, I started to feel more aligned with the forest energy and all the wildness and love I could feel there on a spiritual level than with the concrete world. And since I was an outcast for the most part, there was no intellectual barrier between me and these energies. They could just, so to speak, dance with me and change me and nourish me. And at some point, it didn't matter so much anymore whether I was someone to anyone, because in my own world in the forest, I was myself, colorful, joyful, alive and whole. And then I finally moved to the countryside, not needing to search for those little sanctuaries shielding me from the city energy. I finally found a space to fully blossom into myself, surrounded by the vibrant hues of wildflowers and misty mountains. And what began as a mere spiritual connection, feeling the energy of the earth and allowing it to heal me, has now evolved into a direct relationship with the natural world. By nurturing plants that thrive under my care in my balcony garden and, as of late, foraging for herbs, I am nurturing my own spirit. I realize nurturing nature means nurturing myself. The more I turn to and work with nature, the more at ease I become with myself. It is the same with accepting my autism diagnosis. It's about turning towards my own nature instead of working against it. By connecting with nature over the last decade, I've managed to add so much more joy and quality to my life, blooming into the person I always wanted to be, with trees, plants, and herbs helping me along the way. I am no longer a ghost drifting through a concrete world. I feel vibrant and grounded and alive, finally feeling at home, both inside and outside of me.